And welcome back to a fresh episode of the Business Growth Show. I'm your host, Sam Dunning, co-owner over at webchoiceuk.com. And if you haven't yet, check out our weekly email where we share actionable marketing tips, useful podcasts, free guides, resources, and much, much more to start your week off with a bang. Head over to businessgrowth.email. And with that said, today's guest is a returning one, a man who goes by the name of Mike Winnet. Mike's host over at viewsaremyown.social, the online community to help you scale your business and make you less shit at sales and marketing. Mike, welcome back to the show, mate. How you doing?
Really good, mate. How are you?
All good on this end. Yeah. Looking forward to having you back.
You're doing well, aren't you? I see your YouTube channel. You got some good videos on there. You deserve more views if that is a metric that you measure success by. You put out some really good stuff.
Nice of you to say. Yeah, I've really struggled with YouTube for some reason. The audio podcast does okay. That steadily grows. But for some reason, you've cracked it quite well. I know your YouTube channel's done pretty well in terms of the engagement views and such. But for some reason, like we really struggle with the show and the views we get.
Any idea why? No.
That I'd love to know why. I'd love to get someone in that could say, "Look, Sam, if you tweak A, B, and C, this will kind of skyrocket your views." But I'm yet to crack it.
It's interesting you talk about that. That's one of the things I've been asked recently about growing a YouTube audience and how important it is for business. And I've got Paddy Galloway. Have you ever heard of him on Twitter?
I haven't actually. No.
Brilliant. He works with some of like the biggest creators, and he goes through their account and he tells them, what they could do differently. It's huge. So working with him, Paddy Galloway, or check him out. Weirdly, he sent me a DM today on Twitter. But so check him out and he will be able to help you. Yeah.
Maybe
there's a couple of people that can help you do that. But he'd be a great guest for you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, perhaps we can get Paddy on, get him to do a live audit of my channel and just scrutinize it to hell. Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be good. Win-win.
Cool, man. So when we had you last time, we talked all about how you grew your business, how you scaled it, the ups and downs, the tips. And I believe you sold it off in the end. Was it 8 million or something like that?
Yeah, £8 million sale. And that's when the trouble started.
And since then, lots happened. But today we're going to be focusing on basically sharing tips around how our listeners, how our watchers can grow their audience online. So first and foremost, Mike, what does growing an audience online really mean?
Well, ideally, what you want to do is to have more of your ideal client following your content, be part of that journey, whether they're learning something from you, getting value from you, but you want to be front and center on the social platforms they hang out. So you want more of the people you want to do business with to be following you on social media channels. And if you can crack that part by growing a substantial number of people that are interested in what you do and you solve a pain point that they've got, and then marry that with marketing to those people better in the places that those people hang out. And then the final thing being able to convert that traffic into cash, which is why we are all doing this stuff. Then if you can marry those three things, then it's going to be hard for you to fuck it up, really. So that's what it means to me. It's growing that audience of people that want to do business with you, marketing to those people better, and then being able to close or convert those leads and that audience into paying customers.
Makes sense. And we'll break down these topics in a bit. And is this something, growing an audience, that any business can really do, or is it quite limited to like coaches or consultants or people in tech industries? Are there limits?
No, not really. Like any business can grow an audience. I would actually say it's probably harder if you're a blue chip company to grow an audience away from the brands. But for a lot of people, those sort of employee advocates, if you don't want to do it yourself, but also being the MD, the founder, the CEO, whatever it might be, whatever you want to call yourself, it's, I think, imperative for you to be a visible, identifiable, recognizable face, head of a tribe, head of a community that grows its own audience. And especially if you're an employee. So I don't want to bang on about personal brand or anything like that, but that is key. Now, I've seen someone that's done a test recently where they basically, instead of posting on their business accounts online, whether it be on Twitter, on Instagram or LinkedIn, They
Yeah.
split the same content across 5 of their employees, and it was 200% more engagement on the same content when you use those people. So it's huge, really, and people prefer that.
Really? That wasn't that.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name. That white label company where because I saw a company on, without going off on too much of a tangent, I think they're like a similar agency to us, but they white label basically digital marketing services. And I remember
yeah.
seeing a post from him, and he basically said, "We're going to take over LinkedIn this month," whatever that means, and then got all of his employees to share the same post and basically see how much reach they could get with literally all their staff on LinkedIn posting the same post. Is that the one, or was it someone else?
Someone else.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it wasn't
fair
that. But
enough.
yeah, so 200% increase. But yeah, so there you go. So if you can build your audience around that, I think a lot of people build audiences that aren't going to benefit them long term, like or
Right.
they confuse that, or they've got too many followers on an account. I'll tell you who's done it quite well recently. So take Leah Turner as an example. She had an Instagram account, thousands of followers on there, but it was from different parts and different times in her life. So now when Leah does LinkedIn training, that audience isn't really following Leah for that type of content for the most part. She might have had 10,000 followers that aren't following her for LinkedIn tips or growing their audience. So while she's got a big audience, that wasn't right for what she's selling. So if you look what she's done,
Okay.
she's actually started a fresh, clean LinkedIn account. Sorry, not LinkedIn account, Instagram account
Right.
called like Leah does LinkedIn, and she's growing a new engaged audience that wants the core products and the content, consume the content that she's now producing. So she's realized that a big audience doesn't necessarily mean the right audience if you want to make money from it.
Interesting. You
Yeah.
mentioned just now something about short term and long term with your audience growth.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about what you mean there.
Well, so short-term growth is just like getting people that follow you the back off, say one viral post or one viral tweet. That's very short-term. That's short-termism. That's probably not really beneficial. What you want to do is build, doesn't necessarily build slowly, but you want to build somebody that is interested in the bulk of your content. Because you could do like a rogue tweet that bangs, it gains you 10, 15, 20,000 new followers. But if that's the only thing that they followed you for, it's kind of irrelevant. You almost want to just have steady progression, I think. Build the right type of audience that enjoy the bulk of your content and would benefit from the pain point that you solve.
Yeah, yeah. So rather than just putting
So
out
here's an
one.
example. I grew an audience on YouTube, nearly 90,000. Follow me on there. Still do. I've not put any content out there for 8 months. That audience on there probably enjoys either being entertained, possibly learning something. They are probably not going to buy a product. If I suddenly launched a broadband company, let's just say, or a broadband offering, and then I went to that audience and said, buy my broadband buy my broadband product, I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that 99.99% of those people aren't going to buy that product. So while I built an audience, it is the wrong audience for what I want it to do.
Yeah,
So
get that.
essentially, I've built an audience of cynical people that think that online training is a scam. They think that Ty Lopez is a bit of a dick, and they're probably not going to purchase anything that I put out there that was remotely like, say, training or online learning or coaching or any of these things. So that's the wrong audience for the wrong product. So building an audience to me is building a good audience, like a small, engaged community that will benefit from the products that you sell.
Let's strip this back a bit. So for anyone
Yeah.
tuning in that's thinking, I want to get stuck into this, I want to build up my own audience because this sounds pretty useful. What are some of the first things before we start picking platforms and whatnot? What are some of the first things that you should have in your mind that you need crystal clear before you actually get into any tactics or strategies in terms of kind of this is the people that I want to build in my audience, and any other initial thoughts?
Yeah. So what problem do you fix, first of all? Like, what problem do you fix? And then you'd look at, so if that's the problem I fix and that is the answer to a question, what questions are people asking that I want to be answering? So as soon as you can identify those things, then you can see, right, so what type of person asks those questions, or what type of person, what specific type of person that asks those questions do I want to work with? So it's cliche basic stuff. If any of this stuff sounds confusing, it's like you've got to identify your ideal client, but then it's got to be like, what questions are your ideal client asking? Right?
Yep.
What answers have I got? So as soon as you've got that's clear, you can work back from that and say, right, so where do these people hang out?
Yep.
And then build your communities on those different places. I've started from scratch again on.
Yep.
So I've started completely brand new on Facebook this week. Never been on Facebook before. Started on Facebook. So I'm now going to build an engaged audience on that platform from scratch. On Twitter, I never really used Twitter. I had set up Twitter in like 2018, never really used it. But now I'm following a process to grow my Twitter audience, a step-by-step process, recording it all, seeing what worked, what didn't, and then that's something I'm sharing. I will be sharing next month with the views on my own community as well. So I'm doing this from scratch. And I know people might say, oh, well, but you had an audience of 200,000 on YouTube and on LinkedIn. But I built them from scratch. But I'm starting from scratch, and I'm also testing this with some people's accounts that haven't got any followers as well, to see if it's possible to do it if you've not got a sort of catalog of content like I've got.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to report back with my findings soon, tell you what worked, what didn't, and if it's better or worse than my bigger communities that I've built.
Interested to see it, especially Facebook. That'll be interested to see how that goes. For anyone that's kind of tuning into this and thinking, well, there's a few problems that I think I fix, and there's a few people or kind of personas that could be my target client. Have you got any quick tips when it comes to actually nailing down, these are the main problems we fix, these are the main people that we serve, and we shouldn't focus on anything else?
Well, think of one thing first and just be known as that guy, and that's the anchor then. So I don't know, probably a shit example, but Nike sell lots and lots of products, but they market to a different demographic slightly differently. So you've got they do running stuff, they do football boots, whatever. So they do slightly different marketing messages to different audiences, but still Nike. So you can do that. And if you're a business and you've got different employees, you could be smart, or you could have different people in your management team, almost like being the advocate or the voice for that individual part of the business you want them to be known for. But I would say always just own one thing really well, and then you can upsell things and introduce other concepts and stuff to your clients that have already purchased from you, because it's easier to sell to somebody that has already parted money with you before. That's an easier sale than trying to convince. So if you're not clear and like straightforward and easy to understand in your market message, it then gets convoluted. So it's difficult. So you don't really want to try and say, well, I do this, but I also do that. I also do this. I also do that. It makes it very difficult. People are simple. You've got this problem. This is what you need to fix it. Do you want it fixing? Yes or no? It's that simple. So that's what you need to do. I would say go and own one thing. So when I did it quite successfully with Learning Heroes, it was saving the world from boring e-learning. We didn't just do e-learning modules. We did reading materials. We did animated explainer videos. We did lots of different types of learning content. However, my tagline, or the thing I was known as, was saving the world from boring e-learning boy. There are catchier names than that, but that is what you want to do. Now, it is a bit gimpy sometimes to be known as the ex-boy or the ex-girl, whatever, but it works. It works, and it makes it very easy for your audience to understand. Then take that a step further. Then your profile and your account needs to then tell people what to expect from you. So if you are building your audience, be clear on who it is that you want to speak to, what problem it is that you fix. You make content to get people to come to your profiles. Essentially, you put that out and you hope that enough people engage with it, that then other people like them, see that content, it resonates with them. That might be the first time they've discovered who you are. So then they'll click back onto your profile. So that's how come like your bio's so important, your profile's so important, and the other content you've got on your page. And that's any page on any of your social media platforms is so important, because now if that content now either removes, say, a sales objection I might have, so it removes an objection I might have, or it takes me further down a buying process, I become self-qualifying and I almost answer my own objections before I even get in touch. So it then makes it very easy to sell to. They've heard you, they understand they like the cut of your jib, they like what you're about, they trust you, whatever it might be, you've given value. That's how it works. And then
good.
it's
Just
easy
peeling
for
that
them
back
to
a bit.
follow them.
So
Go.
what you said makes sense. So basically, rather than trying to pick a bunch of problems, pick a bunch of ideal clients, say, look, let's start with one, like you did in your past business, Learning Heroes. Start with one crispy issue that you know is going to resonate with the people you want to sell to. So I was listening to a podcast, a guy called Louis Grenier, I think it is, Everybody Hates Marketers, and he talked about something called the iceberg effect. And it's basically like when you often head onto bad websites' homepage, they're trying to sell you everything and anyone. Like a good example in my industry is digital marketing companies that say they do everything under one roof. Like they'll do your photography, their videos, your influencer marketing, your websites, your SEO, your paid ads. And you're like, I'm so confused. You're saying you do everything, but you've got like 3 staff. How the fuck are you going to manage all this? And it's just confusing. You're losing. So he talks about
take it. Like IAM Productions is very similar. So we could do video packages, we could do brand videos, we can do animations, we can do monthly video packages, a monthly subscription, and we had almost too many products. Since stripping it right back to saying we are the explainer, guys. If you've got something that you need explaining, we can make an animated explainer video to do that for you. Literally by going with one product, we can still do all the other stuff, but now literally leading with that one product has meant that we now get a better quality of conversation when we do speak to people, and it's easier to market that to people. So it's you just want to really be known as the one thing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's like so. And if people land on your marketing material, whether that is your website or something else, and your LinkedIn page, and you're trying to push all these things, like you say, you're not going to be remembered because you're trying to clutter them with too many
now,
things.
I don't even on my Twitter. I don't mention my YouTube channel. I've not got a link to my YouTube channel. I do that. Some people mention it to me. On Facebook today, someone sent me a message saying, didn't you used to make videos about Contrepreneurs? Like, yeah, I still do. But that isn't what I want you to know me for right now. So I used to sell e-learning. No one remembers me in a cape.
I was wearing one earlier, funny enough, to shoot a new video, but that's going to launch in a couple of weeks. So we've nailed down kind of the problem, that the target client. You were getting into some tactics then, but I guess before we talk about certain strategies and putting this into play to actually attract the people we want to attract, how should we go about selecting, I guess, the platforms? Is that the next step, Mike, to select the platforms that we actually use to get this message in front of target customers? Is that what's next? Or
well, yeah, it is next. But it's an obvious one, isn't it? Like, where do your ideal client hang about? Go there. Guess what happens if you hang around in the places that your ideal client hang around? Then you're more likely to do business with them. So just do some research and find out where your ideal clients hang out. Now, I think some people rush to try and have to be omnipresent across all social media platforms because they think they have to. But I don't think you need to. Like, focus on your main platform. So when I was doing the Mike Winnet stuff, my main platforms were LinkedIn. And that was when I was using LinkedIn before Mike Winnet as well for my business. It was LinkedIn. And then I also had a split with YouTube and Instagram. They were the 3 platforms I used. I didn't really use Twitter at all. Didn't use Facebook at all. And it meant that I could really focus on one and make that the majority, like the main focus of how I acquired clients or where I attracted clients.
Yeah. Do you think 3 is about right?
I mean, there's no right or wrong answers to that. Each business will be different, but for me, 3 worked perfectly, and I could split my time across those numbers, across those platforms, and the results were similar as well. So weirdly, the one that I spent and engaged on most was the one that I got most of my leads from. Yeah. So do that till you've nailed it. And then what used to happen on LinkedIn, I could pretty much post anything and it would get hundreds of views, thousands of likes, because you've done the graft. You've got to almost do your best content when no one's watching, no one's looking. It's a horrible thing to say. So you've almost got to do your best work and you're not going to get the rewards and the appreciation you deserve for it. You've got to do that. But this is where you'll win. Most people won't do that. Most people quit after doing, I've done this for 2 weeks and I've not had 1,000 views, I've not had 1,000 likes. And I go, quit then. And that the people that don't quit are the ones that, usually are more successful at that platform than anybody else.
That long-term
Also,
mindset.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So what I'm curious to know from you, Mike, is as you've shared, you've had success with your last business, you're growing a new business now. In terms of the actual content that you put out, what are some ideas that you can share around making sure your content's actually going to resonate with the people you want to attract, basically?
Well, it's easy. Like, so if you're on the phone in your business or you speak, there's two types of people you will either speak to: existing customers or potential customers, prospects. Ask or just listen to what questions you are being asked by those people. If you get asked the same questions multiple times in a day or a week, you should make content on that topic, answering that question. Why? There's two reasons. Number one, it is a blockage stopping somebody from purchasing from you. So make content for it, put that out in the places people are looking to answer for these questions to be answered, and already you've removed an objection, given them value, and they trust you because you're not asking for a sale at that point when it's discoverable content, right? So that's now removed. But then also why it's good, you've now got a piece of content that you can always refer to. So if you do follow-up emails or proposals, you can embed those videos in your proposals now, where it's like, we spoke about yield or ROI. Here it is explained. And it can be, so how does ROI work? And you can have videos made on all these things that you would normally explain. So that's a great way of scaling your sales team without the cost. So what you're effectively doing there is you are creating pitch perfect salespeople that only talk to your ideal client in the places they are hanging out and are looking for answers to a very specific question. Like, you're stupid if you don't do this, basically. So in Learning Heroes, we had at the very end, we had 340 corporate clients. I only got clients from LinkedIn at the time, putting content on LinkedIn and then putting that content on YouTube. I was the only salesperson in that business until 6 months before we sold. And that was because I was thinking of then selling the business and I wanted to replace myself in the business to make that sale easier to negotiate. So how I managed to do that was, it was hard graft in the first 12 months, but then it reached a tipping point. As I'd been making content, answering all the questions I would get asked on the phones, I started getting asked fewer and fewer questions because people had seen or found this content that answers that question before they spoke to me. So eventually I became an order taker. And for a startup business with only one salesperson, that's the dream. Because essentially I had hundreds of pitch perfect salespeople doing all the graft for me before I ended up speaking to people. And that's how come the model worked quite well. We could stay lean and then we could sell the business quite quickly. 2.5 years later for £8 million.
Yeah, I mean,
and you don't have the headache of commission, brown brogues, no socks. Salespeople are difficult by nature. I know I am one. I'm one of the most. I would be a very difficult employee.
I can imagine you would be. Yeah, I can speak with similar experience. I mean, take LinkedIn, for example. I don't know how long I've been posting content, 1.5 years, 2 years, consistently, pretty much every day. And now it's got to the point when I do get inquiries. Yes, you still get tire kickers every now and then, but quite a high majority of the people that actually message me have been following my stuff for ages. So they know that I know my stuff when it comes to websites or SEO. And they're almost already bought in, so I don't have to.
Well, they have because they trust you. They know you, so they know what they're getting. So that's the thing. That's why it's great. But also, even hiring people. So if you're hiring someone for your business, they've already decided that they know the culture, the voice, the tone, because they've seen all your content. So they've got a good idea of what they let themselves in for. Do you see what I mean? Anybody applying to work for VaynerMedia knows what's expected there because Gary puts out 500 videos a day.
That's
like, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying so. It's a good tool for hiring and your business, but it's also a great tool for increasing the number of pre-qualified leads that that ring your business to work for you, because it is a sales team. It's the cheapest, most easy to manage sales team you'll ever have in your business, because it's just you multiplied.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why it's good. And here's an example. So we've so I've got IAM Productions, which is a content creation company, by the way. But that is we had a client that's talking to Ian today to do an animated explainer video for a crypto platform.
Sure.
To explain how it works. And they had seen a video we made about crypto in 2019. So they saw that video 3 weeks ago. So in 2019, we made a video. This company have seen it 3 weeks ago. That company wasn't around in 2019. Liked it, liked how it worked, liked how we spoke about crypto, has now come to, if we can help them with an explainer video to explain how their platform works. So that's the power of something.
A couple other
because
things on
that
is
point. The right content in the right place that your ideal client is looking.
Yeah, kind of leads me on to the next point as well. So you were saying basically create content that is common questions, objections, queries on sales calls.
But it doesn't have to be, common is in like frequently asked. Yes.
Yeah.
Like not common is in like the niche the better, weirdly. And people get confused with what if it doesn't get many views? It doesn't matter. If it gets 100 views, but it's such a niche question, how qualified does that person have to be to search that question? Like that's the thing that some people get wrong. And that goes back to that building the audience I was saying at the beginning. We're having 100,000 people watching generic content isn't as valuable in my mind as having a really well-defined, clear audience getting the content that they specifically serves the problem that you solve and that they're looking for.
There's also two other advantages to creating that kind of content I found. One is it helps your SEO a bit. So if people are actually typing that directly into Google, they might see your YouTube video, your blog article, your resource, your podcast on it. And secondly, if you've got a sales team, it saves them time. So if you find you're getting this question like from clients every week,
that's what I was saying.
You can literally just say, I'm going to shoot you this DM, I'm going to shoot you this email with this link to this YouTube video, this guide, and it's going to guide you through the exact steps.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It also is also good for, like I said, proposals and follow-up emails. Like, here's the 5 things we spoke about. You're not going to remember all those things, especially if it's a technical sale, let's just say. So having 4 or 5 videos in there, that's almost like, here's that thing that we spoke about that you might not 100% remember. When it goes back to the key decision makers, they've got less shit to remember, and it also makes it an easier. But also, it shows that you know what you're talking about. Weirdly, that I can't say, but I was having this discussion with somebody. I was having a discussion with somebody today online. That said, like, Google's the main thing, and I was saying, but if you're not marrying Google and YouTube together, you're kind of like working with one arm tied behind your back, or you're shooting yourself in the foot a tiny bit. You know, I don't feel like they believed me, but it's just my experience of my own experience, and also doing this for hundreds of businesses, not just one person, like one business. So
cool. Well, that's helpful. We won't focus on LinkedIn too much because we've got a bunch of episodes on LinkedIn with people like Jared Best, Michael, Daniel Disney, Justin Welsh, and loads more that you can check out on Business Growth Show. But I'm curious, was it
Justin weirdly at the end of the month?
Oh yeah, what on your podcast?
About no in views of my own. I'm talking about Twitter growth. I'm following actually his process at the moment. Really simple 4-step process to grow your audience. Interesting guy, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's done very, very, very well in terms of his LinkedIn growth and a few other channels. So perhaps you can share that in a set. But yeah, I'm interested. Was the 2 other channels you said you used for your past business, was it Twitter and Instagram? Or was it Twitter, Insta, and YouTube? I can't remember what you said. There was 3.
So it was LinkedIn.
Yeah.
YouTube and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's touch on YouTube and then perhaps Insta for a bit, because I mean those are, like I say, channels that I haven't done anything on Instagram myself, and YouTube we haven't shared much on either on the show. So any kind of best practices that you've found for those 2 channels that we could share? We don't have to go. So
I only used YouTube at the time to just as somewhere to keep my video content, just another place to hold my video content. And then once I learned that, people use YouTube, it's the 2nd most searched website in the world for questions and problems about business. So why wouldn't you be on there? That's kind of the argument I was having earlier today. So then once you understand that, and it's similar to Google, you start doing SEO and the tags on your videos, and you really are very specific in the questions and the content that you're answering. then that's why they should be on there. So there is no sort of secret to it. You just make content for your tribe or your audience or your ideal client, and they will naturally find that. I mean, I would say just posting and putting those videos on there is probably more important at this stage than trying to work out a hack to get an extra 0.3% engagement on your thumbnails. That's probably trying to run before you can walk. So
Yeah.
no, there is no secret. Just make content and put it on YouTube, because you're going to be linking people to that anyway. So that's how you grow that audience.
Yeah.
And then hopefully one video will get picked up by the algorithm and it'll show you to more people that are interested in that product. That's kind of what happened with one of my videos. Which was weird because it didn't get many views in the first 4 months.
It is strange how that can happen. I've had that on a few where literally they've been hardly any views to start with, and maybe a year down the line they've just suddenly picked up out of nowhere. I've got a couple that have just really, really old episodes on the podcast, and they've just suddenly shot up, and it's like, why the hell?
And that's the key, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Where posting online every day, say just on LinkedIn every day, writing a post. It's Empathy Thursday. It's Show Some Vulnerability Tuesday, where you're following the same formula. That's cool for building a brand, getting views, but it's not searchable. Nobody's searching for, your ideal client isn't searching for, how did you cope when your cat got run over in 1997? No one's searching for that shit. From a purely business perspective. However, you want the content in other places where your ideal client are asking. So I think I call that disposable content. It's not bad. That's not in a negative way, by the way. It's cool for visibility, building a brand, and getting massive eyes on your stuff.
Yeah.
However, you need to use this sort of evergreen lead generating sales content effectively if you want to be successful. And that's on any platform, because you can repurpose that on all platforms. But that's the content that in the hour of need, when your ideal client has got that problem that you solve, that's what they are looking for. So make it once, get paid on it many, many times. It's a better investment of your time. If you've only got 3 hours to make content every month, I would suggest you made 1 or 2 videos that are still going to be generating your business in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time.
Got it.
That is my tip.
And
if you haven't got a clue what that is, or what it should look like, or what it should be called, speak to IAM Productions. There's a plug for my own business there, because it works.
What about Instagram?
And Instagram, common mistakes people make on that platform is they think if they are in marketing, they will then hashtag marketing on their content. It's the most stupid thing ever. You're now competing with people with huge audiences. Your content won't get seen if people are following that hashtag or searching that hashtag, because it's used so many times. So I did okay on Instagram. Got to about 10,000 followers. It got hacked and deleted, so I've never bothered starting it again. But I got to 10,000 followers in less than a year. What I realized and understood about hashtags and the strategy was, hashtags are great if it's specifically for you. Now you're thinking, but nobody searches for that. No, but once you start building your community will then start using your hashtag. So it is supposed to be like niche. It is supposed to be small. But if you think of it as a sort of, I used to think of Instagram as the football league. You are starting in the conference. So what you want to do is you want to look at what other accounts with, say, less than 500 followers, look in your niche, what hashtags they're using. And you want to almost go for niche versions of those hashtags. Once you start winning the battle in your league, you can start going up the leagues. And then once you've got 5,000 followers, so you go from 500 to 5,000, I would say you've gone up a league. You can start now competing for slightly bigger, more competitive hashtags and start winning that battle. Get your audience up to 10,000, then you can start going after. So it's you win Instagram, in my opinion, in increments. What people fail to realize is that is the process, and it's a long-term game. But they fail to realize. They think, well, I know. There's 27 million posts on marketing, so I'm just going to use marketing as my hashtag because it's a popular hashtag. Yet no, it's a popular hashtag used by other people, it means that the chance of your content being seen through that hashtag, you're not going to be on the top 9 squares for that hashtag because they favor the bigger accounts with millions of followers. So you're kind of wasting hashtags, in my opinion. Actually got something coming about hashtag strategy in 2022 and how to use it to your advantage. That's coming in 2 weeks' time on Views My Own. So yeah, which will obviously benefit some of the people that are trying to grow an audience on those platforms. And that hashtag strategy, I would say, on Instagram is something I think it's the biggest misconception ever. People just think, bang, content marketing, marketing strategy UK, marketing UK. They just think, but it's a wrong way of doing it.
Yeah, I've never really used Instagram that much myself, so was quite curious to see kind of what you recommended, what's worked for you.
It's all right. You know, TikTok's something that I've got a brand new account for Views My Own, but that's I want to test stuff. What I find with a lot of sort of business communities or groups on how to grow your audience on, say, if it's on LinkedIn or if it's on the problem is a lot of these people are just talking at the community saying, just do this. But I want to actually try these things. So if somebody does something that I've never heard of and says it works, I want to try it myself. And the reason why it's called Views My Own are I will try the thing for a month, 2 months, 3 months and see what it says, reveal the results I got, and then get experts in to actually give their genuine views on that process, why it works, why it didn't work, what's their opinion on it, is there other things that we need to do? And I think that's kind of a big USP for what we're doing. You know, a lot of people don't do that, you know.
So the channels we've talked about, Mike, they're by YouTube. They're pretty much, you could argue YouTube is a bit social, but they're pretty much all social platforms. Yeah. Just to tear a hole in the strategy, they're all effectively rented land in the sense that the companies that control the social platforms could at any time flip them from being free to use to pay to play.
That's a massive thing. I know that I lost an account with 90,000 on.
So is spending all your time on whether it's 2, 3, 1 social platforms a risk in the sense that everything could be lost?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. That's why your ultimate goal is to drive them to your own mailing list or your own website. That's the ultimate goal of anything.
Yeah.
You want your audience to actually, instead of thinking, I want to find Mike Winnet stuff, so I'm going to go on LinkedIn to find it, they go on to mikewinnet.com. That's not a real website, by the way. But they'll go on, and that's where I find his stuff. That's your ultimate goal. So that's the smart play. Now, a lot of people don't do that. And that's how come you see a lot of, as soon as Facebook decide they're going to change the rules or they pull your account, like look at me, I lost a 90,000 LinkedIn account. That would put a lot of people's businesses under. Imagine if your business was growing an audience, like it was based, I don't know, say LinkedIn training is a perfect example, and all of your audience is on LinkedIn. If they pulled your account, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So the smart move is, number one, have multiple platforms so you've got a big audience. So if you do lose a chunk, it's not all of them. Luckily, I had other than almost 90,000 accounts on different platforms. So there will be a lot of crossover on those 90 as well. So I'm not going to go, oh, that's 200,000 people or whatever it might be. Probably 130,000 people, some duplicates. But if you put your eggs in a few different baskets, that kind of protects you to a certain degree. But your ultimate goal is to have your own platform.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to do.
That's what I was getting at, really. Yeah, whether that is, like you say, an email list or your website or something you literally own or control that you can guide people to. So like you say, if one of the social channels takes a hit,
exactly,
you know you've got other channels that you own, control, or your own assets.
Yeah, so there's that. There's that if it's you on your own. But if you're in a business, you also, another way of splitting that risk would be having 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how big you are, individuals building their own tribe in your niche that work in your organization. So say if Jack Bainbridge accounts gets pulled for IAM Productions, then we've got
haven't seen a post from him in a while.
Or we've got he's over there actually. He's busy, too busy to post now.
Bloody hell. There we go.
Yeah, so Jack's like doesn't do banners anymore, he does animations. and the animations he's doing are unreal.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a higher value product, more labor intensive, but it's also so the point is, that's another way of sort of nullifying that risk or spreading that risk, is having multiple people in your business that are well known and also built up an audience.
Yeah.
But you are right, 100% get people onto your own platform. So, and especially with the way that a lot of these platforms are going now, the fact that you can get banned from certain platforms for saying something innocuous, like say elf porn or something like that, and that's the reason they'll pull your account with 90,000 followers on. Number one, it's ridiculous. But number two, the fact that that exists now, and there is a sort of anonymously report people, and a lot of it is because people are a bit, I don't like a different opinion, so I'm going to report that. Whether it's right, like that, there's a huge difference with that. It's a dangerous thing to try and grow your audience just on one platform. So yeah, you want people to follow you separately. So I've started that myself.
Let's go into the next topic, I guess, which is, so we've shared kind of how you can think about who your target audience is, what the problem is you solve, how you can create content to appeal to them. How can we then, this is probably going to link in nicely with kind of using multiple platforms and not relying necessarily on rented social channels. How can we then leverage our audience to get some cash out of them to generate some revenue for our business?
Well, you give them value. Give them value. Sort of tell them what they need to do to sort of solve the pain point that you fix. I find what works is give them enough information and help so they can try and do it themselves. But inevitably, people would rather outsource this stuff and would rather pay someone to do it because that's what they are an expert in, or so that's how you do it, basically. Just, it was, I've quoted him once, I'll quote him again, Gary V, jab, 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 right hook, isn't it? It's just that. Just give value, help people. Then inevitably, when it does come to, will you want to use us to this, or will you buy this product? People feel like they've already had the money's worth from you anyway. So it's quite easy, really. Or make it a no-brainer offer. In Learning Heroes, it was, we had a better offering than everybody else and offered it at a price that nobody could even get close to, because we offered a different way of billing and invoicing our clients, cancel any time, no long contracts. So what we were doing at that time wasn't really possible. So it's just that.
Yeah.
Treat people how you would want to be treated. Give them a great level of service. Give them loads of value, so it becomes a no-brainer decision. Why do people travel hundreds of miles to use John Stone and Guerrilla tires or Stone tires? Because he gives a great service at a great price. He puts out valuable content. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's the person you go to if you want tires in the Northwest. I know people that travel up from Leicester and places like Leeds and stuff just to get there. There's loads of places that are cheaper, but because John has invested in content, puts out good content, clearly passionate about what he does, gives loads of value, unrivaled customer service. That's why they use him. Don't know if he's saying this, but he's a good bloke, and he's nailed it. And how many tire changing companies are there in the UK? But he's the only person I think of when it comes to tires, and that's ahead of all the big corporates.
Yeah, have to check him out. So what do you think's a better play in terms of, if you're creating content, do you do, like you said, the Gary V jab, 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 right hook, where you might do, I don't know, 5 or 6 posts that you put out or whatever the platform is, or videos or pieces of content, and then you do an ask, like you say, look, we've got this offer on XYZ, or we're doing this, or book a discovery call, book a consultation call? Or do you then reach out to people that are potential clients that have shown an interest? Or thirdly, do you perhaps post a link to encourage people to sign up to your newsletter or download your ebook, or all three?
Yeah, so the answer is all three. This is one thing that frustrates me sometimes with business people, where they want the one definite answer. Is it social selling or is it getting on the phone and outbound? It's both. It's both, mate. Do you craft a gym body through good nutrition or working out? It's both. Like, you've got to do both. but you've got to be good at both, and you've got to do both at the right time. So both are important in those examples I've given. All three are used and are useful tactics at different points with different types of people at different stages in their buying process. So the answer to that is yes, all of them is what you do.
Yeah.
And most people won't. And I see sometimes the argument for, well, nobody in my industry does that. So that's probably your easiest win then. If you start doing something, do you know what I think would be great if people started doing now in their marketing?
Go ahead.
Like lumpy mail. Like start using lumpy mail and doing
like
actual
physical
mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Junk mail was absolutely rinsed. No one was asked about it. No one gets that anymore, really. No one gets lumpy mail. Something valuable or is sort of eye-catching or that type of thing now. Guerrilla marketing, that's another tactic. I've just done a video on the £10 guerrilla marketing stunt that I did that generated £100,000 worth of business. That stuff your competitors aren't doing, but everybody's doing digital marketing. Everyone's sponsoring events. Everyone's doing all this bullshit, but it becomes noisy and you don't stand out. So you want to win, especially if you're an SME, startup, small business, entrepreneur. You want to win the small battles and win enough of them, and you'll get huge results. The problem, I think, with a lot of people is they want to go and win wars with people that are far above them and further along the process, and you're on a hide into nothing.
Yeah. I guess they just see the big boys in the industry and perhaps think they're doing this on their marketing, or they're on these channels, they're putting out this kind of content. Let's copy it.
You should be aware of that. You should be aware of that. But it's on the ground level is when you win those battles. That's how guerrilla wars are fought. Think of that with your marketing and how you position your business. And that's what most people like, by the way. Most people like that. Look at Brewdog, perfect example. The support for Brewdog, people were buying shares in that, investing in that company at the beginning when they were with the plucky startup that was going to take on the big breweries. Now they are the big brewery, and look at the hassle they get.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? It in a strange way, it's harder work, but it's more satisfying and easier. I think when you're small, you can quickly do things, you can quickly try things. You've not got multiple decision makers to go through to make marketing decisions, try new products, test a few things. You're in such a unique and lucky position by almost not having unlimited budget and unlimited resources. You kind of do things better and cheaper and has a bigger impact, I believe. But it is just my view and my opinion. I am welcome to other people's opinions and I will test them.
I think that's probably the best way to be, especially if you're a startup. Like, I mean, you can mess around with certain channels, whether that is LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, YouTube. You can put out a piece of content for a while. You can see what performs. You can test different things, whether that's outbound messaging, direct mail, whatever it is, see what works, and you don't have to get approval from corporate. So that's an interesting standpoint. I mean, you can move fast, like you say, and try that out. Cool. Look, Mike, I think we've covered some good ground. We've covered the A to Z, really, of how to grow an audience online, how to attract the right kind of people you want to do business with, put out content that they're going to enjoy, that they're going to be searching for, and then turn that into cash in the bank. Any final points to wrap up today, sir?
Not really. If you think anything I've said resonated with you and you'd like help on it with your business, I've got a group where we do those three things. We teach you how to identify your ideal client, grow your audience of your ideal client, how to market those people better, and then how to close those sales and leads that you're generating. And like I said, this is from experience of having grown, scaled, and sold a business myself, having done organic marketing, and then trying stuff with paid ads and stuff like that. So come and join viewsaremyown.social. It is free to subscribe if you just want the monthly content. If you want the weekly content, you do have to pay £12.50. You can write it off. So you don't have to give that money to the tax man. Give it me instead.
There you go. And we'll put
if
all
you don't make
links.
more than £12.50 worth of extra business from that, you're an idiot. It's on you.
There you go. Well, we'll put those links over on the site, businessgrowth.marketing. And with that, Mike, thanks very much. Always a
No
pleasure, mate.
worries.
Enjoyed the chat.
Yeah, and just say to anybody that's watching this, I'm not on LinkedIn anymore. So if you want to follow me there, that's the place to find me.
Say that again, Mike. It just broke off.
So Mike_Winnet on Twitter, if you want to follow that, or follow Views Are My Own on LinkedIn. That is the business page.
Nice one, sir. And as always,
Cool.
if you enjoyed the show, a quick rating on Apple Podcasts is much appreciated. Or if you're on YouTube, a quick subscribe. We share actual marketing tips each and every week to help you grow your business and your revenue. And with that, we should catch you on the next one. Cheers.